Geek Out! Hey, welcome to another installment of From Geek Out with Love. I'm Sam.
I'm Jake.
I'm Rich.
I'm Garrett.
And this week we're going to be talking about Moonraker! The 1979 Roger Moore
masterpiece.
Garrett.
Let me tell you about my introduction to the James Bond series.
Please,
all right.
Please.
So I'm a small child of maybe 8 or 9 years of age. Right.
I've never heard you
Sitting
this excited in my life.
In my family's basement, hanging out, and we got the TV on, distracting the kids, whatever. And I'm sitting there, and I look up, and there on the television in front of me is this man, debonair, wearing a suit, sitting in a gondola, hanging out in Venice. And all of a sudden, the boat in front of him, a coffin explodes open. A man pulls a knife and throws it at the gondolier. The guy dies, falls in there. But the man in the suit, he's fine because he looks down and opens up the side of the gondola, and there's controls, and he starts driving that thing around. So then we have a boat chase going through Venice. And it's going, and it's going, and it's great. And, there's guns and things flying, and I'm just raptured, just dialed in 100% on this thing, just watching it happen, and it's amazing. And this boat chase, it's great. It's standard. I come to find out later this is a really good Bond boat chase. It's a thing that happens in Bond films, but at the time I don't know because I'm like 8 years old and I don't know shit, right? So I was kind of watching this happen, and then he goes and he shakes the guys, but he's kind of caught at the end, but he's fine because he presses a button and the skirt of the hovercraft pops out of the gondola, and he goes up into the Piazza San Marco in Venice and kind of like floats around up there. And there's a pigeon that does a double take, and a dog is very confused, and a man pours some wine on somebody's lap, and then it cuts to commercial and it's dinner time, and I never saw Bond again for like 8 years. In college, Sam and I are watching the James Bond series front to back. And when you're like a kid and like you remember things, and then you get to college and you're like, man, that thing that happened when I was a kid and I remember it that way, and it did not happen like that at all. And I'm just like completely bullshit memory because I was a child and children are stupid and don't know anything. And I was like, yeah, that's that thing that like I remember that never actually happened. And then we're watching and we get to Moonraker, and there's a man in a suit in a gondola in Venice, and I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Yeah. I 100% remembered it, like front to back.
Yeah. Yes.
That was maybe my favorite moment of this podcast so far.
My microphone just died. That's how much I love this fucking film.
He just like
died.
He literally died. Yeah. Huh.
Wow. He just evaporated from being so excited.
Do we invite him? Oh no!
Hello?
Yeah, you're back.
That's how much I love this fucking film. My microphone died for Moonraker.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
This is it.
Yeah,
this is
goodbye, James Bond. Fantastic.
Yeah,
I have to. Before we dive in, further,
are you gonna go your story?
Well, no, we'll do the story, but I just want to touch base with you fine gentlemen. Since our last episode, I've taken on an undertaking. You have undertaken. I've taken on. I've kind of half-assed reading Casino Royale and Thunderball back when I was younger, and wasn't super interested. And all I really remember from Thunderball was strangulation. So since we've last met, I have audibled, quote-unquote read, but audibled Casino Royale and Live and Let Die, and I'm in the process of audibling Moonraker right now. And I am taking it upon me to read or listen to all of Ian Fleming's original Bond novels. And it's been quite interesting, to say the least. Casino Royale was pretty much... we've talked about it. I think we've talked about all the Bond movies kind of in passing on this, but it was fun because it's a pretty faithful adaptation, at least the movie. For the most part. He's not parkouring in the 1950s, like Daniel Craig did, which was it was good. And Live and Let Die has its strengths and has its terrible, offensive, horrible things as well in it. Which would be when old white Ian Fleming tries to describe African American culture in Harlem, which was was pretty terrible and not good. But there are other parts in Live and Let Die when it's not absurd.
Racist.
Yes, racist. That I did enjoy quite a bit. So I thought I would just let you guys know and fill you in. I was hoping to be farther along in Moonraker when we did the episode. I'm only about 3 chapters in. But so far, I don't know if you guys have read Moonraker, but I am really enjoying the novel Moonraker.
I don't want to ruin the film.
Yeah, it's very different. I doubt there'll be a bird doing a double take.
Do you want to go with your Moonraker film?
Yeah. So that, like I said, throughout this, I'll try to pop in as we do episodes, fill you guys in where I'm at novel wise, because I'm actually enjoying it. It's pretty. I guess now's the time to be reading the Bond novels, doing this podcast. But many years ago, how many years ago was it? 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
It was our 27th, so that'd be 4
years ago. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Good God.
Jesus.
Shame we gotta get old, Stallion.
Yeah.
This is what I'm thinking of, isn't it?
Age before.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's what you're thinking of.
Oh,
So.
Awesome.
So. And please. Phil, jump in because I can't remember it 100% well.
Well, the first part of the night was just Garrett whooping on everybody in Injustice.
Well, even before that,
oh.
we got to get before that. We got to do the cold open, the Bond cold open. Samuel and I have the same birthday, and we went
like the literal same birthday, not like it's the same birthday different. No, they're like born at the same time, like sprung forth from the brow of 2 Zeuses at once.
Yeah. Well, what is we always say the universe distilled the perfect amount of idiocy on August 11th, 1986. That was
one nugget.
Yeah, one nugget of stupidity broke off on August 11th.
Split into 2.
One landed in Fort Knox, Kentucky, and the other landed in
Walter Reed Army Medical Center.
Yeah, and stupidity was officially born. Anyway, so we went to a local bar that we always try to go to, and we're having drinks. And so I don't know, and hopefully one of you guys can remember exactly why. Not that we need a reason to watch Bond, but we decided during drinks that
someone wanted to watch James Bond.
Yeah,
and it was just James Bond was the trigger.
Yeah, and
I was there.
So it probably was you who said Moonraker.
Happened.
Yeah, and so we're like, we're gonna watch. And well, I think we're drinking and having a good time. And this is also when we went to get chicken nuggets, right?
Yeah, I'm still kind of annoyed because we got 2 20 pieces of chicken nuggets, and I had like 2 and threw up.
To be fair, you wouldn't be able to keep any of those down, so 2 was about as good as it got, my friend. But anyway, so yeah, we made this harebrained scheme that we're gonna watch Bond, and I do remember sitting there and be like, "Oh, we're gonna watch some fucking Bond!" Like, and if anyone was like looking in at this conversation, it's just these like 27-year-old idiots like sweating and drinking alcohol, going, "Do you realize how much Bond we're gonna watch? And we're gonna eat chicken nuggets, and we're gonna play video games." And so we got out of there, and a couple of us were
for less than a year. I had picked up, really at Garrett and Jake's suggestion, even though I owned it already on DVD, the box set on Blu-ray.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember,
so
you going,
do
I do it? Yeah, and this was like our christening almost of that. And we go and get food, we come back, and we're playing video games for a bit. I believe Injustice 2 and...
No, Injustice 2.
Injustice
1. I'm sorry, Injustice 1. I have Injustice 2
Injustice
in the brain.
and Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
There it is. And all of us just got our asses kicked by Mr. Hugo Drax himself. Yeah. And I remember being like getting annoyed, not at you, but getting annoyed that just I sucked. And Sam had walked into the house and basically been like, "Gentlemen," like
that was the only word he said. He walked in and was like, "Gentlemen," and then just vanished.
No, I said, because even though I was drunk, I remember this. I said, "Gentlemen, go ahead and make yourselves at home. I'm going to go to the bathroom and vomit my brains out."
Yes. Oh, that's what it was. And so Samuel goes and is vomiting, and every so often we would go to the bathroom door and knock on it to make sure Sam was still alive. And I remember, like, in between games and stuff, we'd walk over and knock on it, and, like, there'd be silence. And we're like, knock, knock, knock. Sam? Yeah, what's up? Like, just, like, totally fine on the other end, even though we know it's fucking chaos in there. And eventually we're like, let's put on Moonraker. Like, we're all like falling asleep. We're like, let's put on Moonraker. So we busted out and put it on.
And it only made Sam throw up more.
Yeah. And well, no, we're kind of like passed out because it's getting later.
It's like 3 a.m. at this
point. And I do remember like fantastic cold open in Moonraker. The door opens like fucking like Dracula shit, and Sam comes out. And at this point, I know Moonraker. I have it like I'm like trying to fall asleep, and it's playing. And Sam, as he's about to go up the stairs, stops and looks at the TV, and he goes, "Moonraker," and then just walks up the stairs and disappears. You don't see him till the next morning. And that is kind of one of the lasting images or sounds, really, I'll always have with Moonraker is very drunk Sam remembering our oath to watch Moonraker. And
the bonus fact is that when he walks in, he goes, "Moonraker," and walks upstairs and goes into the bathroom upstairs and continues vomiting.
This is also true. Yeah, that also happened.
Yeah.
That was one of those parties where
also, do you remember, I think we all also realized how loud that movie was. Maybe we were just drunk, but we were like, I remember being like, this movie's loud. Because,
it's the Blu-ray mix and,
Jaws falling into a circus tent.
You guys, which was filmed over the course of like 70-some skydives.
Shit.
With a dude that's clearly not Roger Moore with like Roger Moorian features pasted on his face.
Yeah.
Everyone clearly has like a parachute under their jackets.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. Did you guys?
70 people died making that.
Did you guys? Many boffins. Did you guys see that? I don't know if you guys were fans of like the pop vinyl figures that they're finally making James Bond pops.
Yeah.
And they have 2 Roger Moores.
Roger Moores,
they picked
2 Sean Connerys,
2 Sean
0
Connerys.
Timothy Daltons.
Yeah, they'll get there. That'll be like a Target exclusive, and I'll fucking be in line. But dude, pops, have they look, kind of like cute little pop toys. Why? Like, they picked The Spy Who Loved Me. Perfect. That's one of that, in my opinion, and a lot of people's, it's one of, if not the greatest Roger Moore, it's one of the greatest Roger Moores. But then the other one they picked was Octopussy. So Octopussy's on the pop box, and it's like out of all of the potential kid type, oh, I like James Bond. Mom, here's my Octopussy pop figure. It's like out of all the ones they could have picked, they picked Octopussy.
So it's because I only saw the announcement where it was just Spy Who Loved Me, Roger Moore, Goldfinger, Sean Connery, Odd Job, Jaws, and there's the golden lady from Goldfinger. Oh yeah.
There's
what even do they pick as the outfit from Octopussy though? Because like aside from the same tuxedo that he's got,
it's like the frilled shirt tuxedo.
Well, he's got frilled shirt tuxedo because I remember he's got the circus outfit and he's got the safari
I was hoping for the clown.
Yeah, me too. Let me take a look because like
he also dresses up as one of the knife throwing brothers.
Yeah, let me take a closer look because I was like I was just shocked that Funko would be like, yes, Octopussy is the Roger Moore one we want to do. But I saw that and I was like, fucking about time. Because I'm definitely going to
While he's looking that up, Rich, I feel like you're in the opposite end of the spectrum from Garrett.
Oh, Blofeld, of course.
What are your thoughts on Moonraker?
This is one of my 3 most hated James Bond movies.
The unholy 3.
Yeah, it's up there with Die Another Day and Quantum of Solace.
Really?
This is just bad. It's a bad movie. I can't, I've watched this thing probably somewhere, start to finish, 7 or 8 times in my life, and it never gets better. Like, the opening sequence, the plane, it's great, and then Jaws is there. Okay? And then Jaws falls into a circus. And, I'll give him credit. It's campy as all hell, but at least there's the attempt of, the raised eyebrow there, come on, but this, again, I've said this in every single one of our Roger Moore episodes that we've recorded. He always looks like he's having a great time. He always makes everything look easy. He always makes everything look really cool, but everything else around him it's just not a good movie. It's a cheap fucking cash in on Star Wars, given the time. And
they
Sam and
swapped
I
out for your
chatted
eyes
about
only,
this
yeah.
earlier. How Sam said this. It's amazing how whenever Bond tries to react to everything that's going on in the world or in film around at that time, the movies tend to fall flat on their face. But when they focus on making a really, really good character-driven Bond film, where he's the center of the attention, and it's specifically, a James Bond quintessential spy film, the movies really excel. And I mean, this is like, if it's like a poor man's Spaceballs.
With Moonraker, this is one of those movies I've seen, since the early days of me watching James Bond. It's one of the formative, perhaps the formative Roger Moore film for me that I remember more than any other from childhood.
I mean, how could you forget this one?
Yeah, I'm tracking with this film. I'm like, oh, this is like typical Roger Moore, right about until like the laser battle, and then I'm like, well, really until they go into space, and then I'm just like, well, shit. Like, there's like, I'm curious, Garrett, how you feel about the space fight.
So my thing with Moonraker is that, okay, I can understand not liking the film as a whole. I think that there's a large extent to which when you put it all together as one thing and you follow it from front to back, it's okay. Yeah, I'll admit it's not the greatest the greatest movie, but there's a lot of parts in there where if you take any individual scene from Moonraker, I find it hard to say that any of the individual scenes aren't just like fun to watch on their own. The laser battle is the most obviously over the top thing in there, but you gotta take it for what it is. I don't know. It's not like, it's not offensive to watch. It's certainly for me one of the weakest parts in the film. I don't know. I think a lot of the reason why I like this, I think that there is really a straight line in my personal history from watching the gondola chase as a kid through, preaching the gospel of Space Ghost coast to coast in college. Like, I kind of look at this film as a sort of inadvertent Dadaist masterpiece where there's a lot as a whole to not like, but if you kind of intentionally say, no, I'm not going to let myself get taken in by that, and I'm just going to experience this, the individual scenes. I mean, you have what is probably the single best James Bond one-liner in the entire series.
Are we talking
when he's there hunting pheasant?
Oh, yes.
You missed, Mr. Bond. Did I?
That's my favorite shit. That's my favorite shit of all the shit. Like that. Because it's funny. And Roger Moore with like the eye up.
Yeah.
Did I?
I just massacred
and then he
a man.
goes in for the knife twist. As you said, good sport. Hands the gun back.
Yeah.
Like, it's just perfect.
I just massacred a dude on your fucking front yard.
I kill for fun.
Like, there are so many things in this film that you can watch and enjoy. And, if you're just like, I really think it is the perfect James Bond marathon James Bond film, because you're sitting there and it's like Thanksgiving weekend and you got the family over and they're all doing shit and you hate them but you love them because they're your family or whatever. And you're just kind of like dealing with that mixture of whatever. And you've got this thing on in the background. Yeah. And like a lot of James Bond films, there's either you have to be paying attention to what's going on, or the kind of beat to beat stuff is kind of whatever. But Moonraker is a blessing because you really don't have to watch this film. You can just kind of tune in, and anything that you see, you're like 5 minutes from something awesome.
I gotta say,
Tops.
like, I love your enthusiasm for this more than anything else. Because I do, though, for like real. Because to me, this is like peak goofy Roger Moore. But I do, And I think in a way you're helping me realize like
that it's a theater of the absurd here.
well, it is, but I mean, here's to us. But like,
you know why that happened?
why?
So originally, like Jaws is supposed to be a villain like Spy Who Loved Me from like top to bottom.
Yeah.
In mid-production, Lewis Gilbert, who they bring back from Spy Who Loved Me to direct this one because Spy Who Loved Me is the most successful. It saves the franchise. They're like, oh, let's give him a bigger budget and fucking send him into space.
And lasers.
And lasers.
Give him a bigger budget and lasers.
Yeah, there's lasers in
Yeah,
Star
why not?
Wars. Let's give him lasers too. He gets a letter from like a schoolboy that writes him. He's like, why does Jaws have to be a bad guy? Why can't he become a good guy? And he's like, you know what? Why can't he become a good guy?
Yeah.
That's why the entire reason why Jaws becomes a
So
good
he gets
guy.
his face turned.
Yeah.
Yes, classic. No, but I was gonna say like, Roger Moore to me is. I think you kind of summed it up perfectly. Like, and I mean this as a compliment to the late great Sir Roger Moore. You don't have to be watching the Moore movies to enjoy them. Like they are the Bond movies I put on to have as like the comforting voice in the background if I'm doing something. You know what I mean? But I still can sit, watch, and enjoy them on their own. Moonraker might be, like you said, the peak of that. And it gets to the peak of absurd, funny, goofy Roger Moore, but it unfortunately also falls over the peak as well, you know? And I think the follow-up movie, the next movie that we'll talk about, really, I mean, it's kind of a total shock to the system.
I mean, it's like a complete course correction.
I mean, that must have been nuts to have seen it happen.
I don't know about correction.
To like to watch to see it. Also, why is it not the Moonraker spacesuit pop for Roger Moore? Because we looked it up and it's just the white suit Octopussy.
Yeah, you'd think I would have liked black, either clown Roger Moore, unless that was too on the nose.
Or Commander. Lieutenant Commander Roger Moore.
from
Sexy
from
as hell.
Spy Who Loved Me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or with the massive fucking Magnum revolver from Live and Let Die.
That's
but,
probably my favorite.
Because
Roger Moore.
the Sean Connery one they have is the white suit from Goldfinger and then Dr. No.
the
tux, just the
Oh.
James Bond tux.
Oh, not the fucking the fucking weird collar thing he wears to dinner with Dr. No.
Oh no, that's a little that's like
Deep cut.
that's deep cut.
Yeah.
Actually, wait, real quick.
Or fucking the blue polo shirt.
I have that action figure. Oh yeah, I do. I also have a Dr. No mug.
Like
Not with Dr. No. It's like his face. It's like Bond, and it says Dr. No.
Oh.
Yeah. It's no. Real quick. I guess we'll start how we introduce ourselves. What? Maybe you've already said it, Sam. What is like the Bond pop you want to see? Like if they like Funko's like, dear Samuel, give us your Funko Pop for Bond.
Apparently, the guy that runs Funko is a big proponent of Northern Virginia pro wrestling. So he's in the area.
Yeah.
No, if I had to get any pop Bond, it would be fucking blue ski suit George Lazenby.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Well done. Mine would be. It'd be a variant, of course, because there'd be like.
Oh yeah, I want it to be a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, so people will stand in line for like days for it.
And then they come up and they're like, "Who the fuck is this? Who's George Lazenby?"
I wanted fucking James Bond.
Yeah, I want James Bond, not this guy. That's Ski Man. But no, I would want battle damage Timothy Dalton, License to Kill with the lighter in his hand.
Oh, nice, yeah. For Della.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. It lights a man on fire.
Yeah. Gentlemen, do you have a figure of choice, a Bond icon of choice?
I'm trying to figure out what Funko is.
Oh, they do those like big-headed, not quite bobblehead
Pop figures like they're hard to explain.
Just I don't know if you got your phone handy, but yeah, look up like Funko Pop figure, and you'll see.
Oh, these things.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. That's a good question. First thing that would jump to mind, I don't know if they would do this, but if you could have Brosnan in the tank.
Oh, they do vehicles.
They do vehicles, yes.
I
If
would,
you did,
Brosnan in
that
the
would
tank
probably
would
be
be-
me. That would be pretty cool.
and he'd be fixing his tie.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's one of the great fucking chase scenes in Bond history.
God damn it, that was mine.
You don't want to do
I mean, after that, I mean, I think
Moonraker Bond?
shit. I mean,
in the spacesuit.
Yellow jumpsuit.
Yeah.
no, like if we're gonna go for vehicles and it's not Brosnan in the tank, it's Roger Moore in the
Lotus?
gondola hovercraft.
Oh, yeah, of course.
yeah,
You know what I do? Every time you mention the gondola hovercraft, I just recently rewatched the Everything or Nothing documentary, which is on Hulu, if you have it.
As is the George Lazenby story.
Which I have not finished yet. But it's funny, not every time, when they would interview Timothy Dalton about his take on Bond, it was never meant for 6-year-olds. Like, I love that part. But
He's supposed to be a killer.
yeah, exactly. Took it back to the books. He would be like, he's like, I love Sir Roger Moore, but he's a good friend, but those earlier movies got a little too campy, and they always show the gondola scene as being like the peak of, like, in Timothy Dalton's, in his mind, he's like, that's the moment. Also, I don't think he watched any of the Roger Moore ones. I mean, maybe he did, but I know a lot of the other Bonds will not talk about it because they don't want to, like,
It's funny because, like,
say bad things about it.
This is the first film outside of Roger Moore's original contract. He was only contracted for 3, and from then on he negotiated film by film. So this is the first film outside of that contract because it ends with Spy Who Loved Me. He originally, there's some doubt if he's going to come back for Your Eyes Only, which is why I think he looks so worn out because he was a late addition. He didn't
But it also really works for that movie.
It does. He's supposed to look worn out. But the Timothy Dalton was one of the actors they approached for Your Eyes Only. Obviously, that's fresh off Moonraker, and so he turned it down on the grounds he didn't like where the series was going at that time.
He probably remembers the gondola chase because, like, I'm pretty sure in Everything or Nothing, when he talks about it reaching its peak of silliness, they show specifically the gondola scene, and then they cut to, like, Bond hanging off a fuel tanker and a man being lit on fire, and they're like, back to basics. Tito, baby. Well, that's cool. We should get those pops made.
So, Garrett, you mentioned the points of, like, there's individual set pieces that really work in this film. Both of you
it's the Bond film made for cell phones.
Yes,
when you talk about that, you know what I mean? Like, if you're stuck in traffic or you're on the metro, you can watch all these fun different scenes on your cell phone without having to watch the movie.
So,
and like they kind of hang together. There's a plot that's going, but that's not. I don't know. That's not the important thing in this film.
I do like that. So Drax has this huge plan. He's created a fucking somehow secret space station without anybody noticing. Near the end of the film, when Bond confronts him, he's like, "Why did you steal your own space shuttle?" He's just like, "I needed it." It's just like, but you've got an entire fleet of secret space shuttles.
It does have one of my favorite Bond villain deaths. He just sends him out into space.
He's clearly like an action figure.
Yeah. Also, the actor came back to voice Hugo Drax for the Bond Legends game.
Yes, Michael Lonsdale.
So
yeah, and I think he's also in GoldenEye Rogue Agent.
Oh,
I know Christopher Lee came back to voice Scaramanga for that game.
Mr. Scaramanga.
But I was just watching Horror Dracula, which has nothing to do with this, but it has Christopher Lee.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Okay, so Rich, let's start with you. We've already kind of heard Garrett and Jake's premier favorite moments in this film. What is that moment that you're most likely to look up on the metro or stuck in traffic from this film?
Probably the opening scene before the credits. That's a really fun scene, and coming off the last movie, they had to do something to top, going off the ski jump, going off the mountain with the Union Jack parachute popping up. So that's probably my favorite scene to watch. This is a movie where I really, really do not enjoy this film. I do not enjoy the gondola scene. I don't enjoy anything from lasers on. I found Holly Goodhead to be meh, kind of forgettable.
Do you like the do you like the theme song?
Jaws. I feel like for as iconic as Jaws is in The Spy Who Loved Me, he's kind of more of a sideshow in this film, with him becoming more of a good guy. It's just this is a movie where I struggle to get through it every single fucking time I watch it. And my brother, God bless him, this is one of his favorite movies.
Oh shit!
He's got good taste.
Favorite Bond movies, and it's just there are different Bond movies for everyone. This is not one for me. Just like, on the topic of getting into space type stuff, I can't watch any Star Trek pre Chris Pine.
Oh wow!
And like that drives Star Trek fans up a wall. But a lot of people that I find that love this movie, like my brother, love the original Star Treks, hate the new one.
What if I hate them all?
Good for you, I guess.
I remember, so when we used to do commentaries for the show, we did commentaries for every single Star Trek film up until that point in preparation for Star Trek Beyond, and I think I just broke Jake. Not just on Star Trek, but I think I just broke Jake.
I tried my best early on, and then like by, I don't remember which movie it was, I was just like, I'm fucking going insane! And then I fell asleep during the Star Trek Beyond or whatever.
I could talk Star Trek Into Darkness for a week straight. That movie's phenomenal.
Well, I will say this, Rich. I'm very excited to discuss Quantum of Solace with you when we get there. That's all I'll say.
Well,
okay.
I know Garrett kind of agrees with Rich because that's for you like one of the weakest Bond films ever, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, then I'm very excited to talk to everyone about Quantum of Solace.
Okay.
Quantum of Solace for you is Moonraker for me.
It might be because I just right off the whatever. But like we talk about all the different movies. Just right off the bat, like
it'll be like a literal like year or two.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And might as well keep it fresh. I legitimately love Quantum of Solace, and maybe we leave it at that because it will become the Quantum of Solace episode. But that's exciting because I feel like that is always seen as one of the weakest Bond movies, and I thought it was fairly good. What do you guys think about the Bond theme, the Moonraker theme? Bringing back
Forgettable.
Not a fan.
Yeah, very forgettable.
I was making fun of it earlier, but honestly, I prefer the disco version that ends when he's like banging Holly Goodhead one last time.
I'm gonna be real. I love this film. I love it to death. But when you were singing at the beginning, I was like, man, I don't know the words to that song at all.
I remember.
Think about in terms of how you say it's forgettable. Look at the two songs that it's crammed in between.
Oh, both nominated for Best Original Song. Both Nobody Does It Better and For Your Eyes Only.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Both better songs, I think.
Oh yeah.
The sad thing is, this is the last Shirley Bassey Bond theme.
That's true.
Unless she does like another one.
the next Bond 25.
Yeah.
Bond 25.
Just to fuck you up on this podcast.
Bond 25.
Hey, if we could get a shout out during the Oscars, if they drag her ass out there again, that's all.
Yeah.
Any press is good press.
Yeah, Bond's probably getting married in this one. Bond 25. It's not a secret. We're just gonna remake on Her Majesty's Secret Service. And she's holding the note for 30 seconds, and you just hear, the curtains close.
And she's still going.
Shut the fuck up! Shut the fucking
Randy
mic
Newman.
up! yeah, Randy Newman. Bond 25.
Wedding bells.
Yeah, wedding bells. We've seen this before. Spectre's not that great. I did rewatch it recently.
I'm kind of surprised, Rich, that you prefer A View to a Kill over Moonraker.
Simply for Christopher Walken. That's it.
That's all it takes.
That's all it takes. Christopher Walken. That's it.
And the whoopsie daisy punch.
I could watch Christopher Walken read the alphabet to me while paint's drying in the background and be entertained.
Rich, A.
It's not
B.
a movie by any stretch of the imagination, but I could watch Christopher Walken do just about anything and be entertained.
Well, we were talking on a recent, another episode of Geek Out where in the books, and what I love so much about the beginning of the Moonraker novel is it's really just a day in the life of James Bond at MI6, which I found almost more riveting and fascinating than any of the action sequences in any of the other movies and the books that I've read so far. And Live Let Die has a couple of big ones.
Which are lifted like in later films.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about one next episode and then in my favorite Bond movie later on. But he talks about mandatory retirement at 45, and we're like, wouldn't that be interesting if they had kept that as a thing for the actors?
Yeah, Roger Moore's like 52 in this movie.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't think, we still get, For Your Eyes Only is a great movie.
This is the last movie, I think, Bond movie where Roger Moore does not look his age.
Yeah. He looks weathered and for eyes only. But again, it works for it. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that I was like, what if they did go by the forced retirement or you lose your 00 status at 45, which I thought was interesting, and that he only goes on 1 or 2 missions a year. He doesn't, the rest of it is just desk work, which I thought was interesting. So
what to get off the movie for just a minute. Now that you're reading / listening to the books,
yes.
As you're reading and listening to them, how do you picture Bond, or who of all of the actors who has played James Bond do you best feel embodies what you've seen on the page?
Well, I remember when I went back when I was younger and was doing Thunderball and Casino Royale. Thunderball, I was like, oh, it's Timothy Dalton. One, because I've said this a million times, and I mean it to sound somewhat silly and somewhat serious. Timothy Dalton treated Bond like Shakespeare, in the sense that he would take the books to the set and he would read the books and incorporate the things from the books. Now, I don't think it's 100% faithful, and I don't think Timothy Dalton wanted to do that either. And also, I don't think by not reading the books or bringing the books to set that makes it a bad performance. I've said, Christopher Reeve never read a Superman comic book, and look at his, the Superman movies, or his performance as Superman. So I don't think that necessarily has to be the case, but I think the thing that sticks with me the most with Timothy Dalton being my favorite is how he was not afraid to keep that Bond, to keep the underlying current that Bond is a cold-hearted son of a bitch. Like, you can have those moments of romance and there's moments of fun and whatnot, but Bond at the end of the day is a killer. And the more I read it, or the more I mostly listen to it right now, it's also great. They've had the 3 people who've read the book so far. The first one, I believe his name's Dan Stevens. He's the guy who played the Beast in the most recent Beauty and the Beast. He does a really good job. He reads Casino Royale.
You're saying the people. Okay, you're saying the 3 people who read the books. You're talking about the actors. I thought you. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
I was at a completely different angle there.
Yeah. So also, I
like
wish
you're the 4th person who's read this book ever.
Yeah. So I wish because Timothy Dalton does audiobooks. I wish he would do a Bond. I mean, I know that'd be way too on the nose. He probably wants nothing to do with it, even though he talks about Bond, forever being a part of him. But that would be fucking amazing for him to read a Bond book. But the second book is Rory Kinnear, who plays Tanner in the
Tanner, yeah,
and he reads Live and Let Die. He has a tough job in some of the parts of those books. Let's put it that way. Because, like I said, there is some dialogue that is not so good in that book. And then Bill Nye is reading Moonraker, and which is pretty fun so far. Later on, I don't remember which ones exactly they read, but David Tennant reads one.
Oh wow.
Rosamund Pike reads The Spy Who Loved Me, which is exciting.
It's mostly from the what's her name?
There's a bunch. The guy who plays Lieutenant Winter in Band of Brothers,
Damian Lewis.
Yeah, he reads one. I don't remember. I think he might read the next one, Diamonds Are Forever. But anyway, that's fun. They get these great kind of British actors or to read them, and I think that's probably cool for them. Because
this film strayed, and Spy Who Loved Me did this as well. Because Moonraker strayed so far from the original source novel, they, instead of just doing a reprint or a new edition of Moonraker, they did its own novelization called James Bond and Moonraker. That recounted the events of the film, kind of expanded on it a bit. That by Christopher Wood, that kind of, I think, also stands alongside officially the Bond literary canon. So I mean, that's the interesting thing so far in the novel is how, even in Bond's eyes, Hugo Drax is like a national treasure, for England. And which is what makes that turn so more shocking.
Exactly.
Even though we kind of know.
Yeah. I mean, when they say Hugo Drax, I'm like, oh, this can't be the same Hugo Drax, can it? Because he seems to be doing good things for England. But a very interesting backstory so far. And like I said, I read a list by a I was going to say well-known British author, but I couldn't remember who it was, which is unfortunate. But a high up, well-respected British author, and he ranked the Bond novels. And for him, number one was Moonraker. He said that was the best Ian Fleming, or his favorite at least.
You know, this is the last time we get Bernard Lee.
Oh shit!
Yeah, because he dies during like early in production or early during principal photography on For Your Eyes Only. So this is that last.
He is like when M is spoken in the books, he is who I think of. Like that is 100%.
Sorry, Ray.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm so glad that he's M now. I mean, I remember sweating bullets that he was going to be a fucking double agent in Skyfall. Yeah. That would have fucking bummed me out so hard.
Yeah.
That's what they call it.
On the topic or people dying, Bernard Lee, as I struggle to get a sentence out, Lewis Gilbert's the oldest living Bond director.
He's like in his 90s now.
Dang.
He's 97.
Damn.
Shit.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, I mean, and this is the last. That means, I mean, this movie came out in what, 79? So fucking 38 years ago. So that means he was fucking mathematics. He was 59.
41. I can't do math.
Yeah, he was 59.
He was.
That's why I'm not an engineer. That right there. Just because I don't know how old that motherfucker is.
Yeah, but
that's what you got to do to get in engineering school, by the way.
Yeah, that's one of the questions.
How old was Lewis Gilbert?
Knows the law.
Yeah, when he filmed Moonraker.
I don't know why they didn't.
I can bullshit like a pro, but
differential calculus.
I do. Turns out that's not actually math.
Okay. I never took a calculus course, so I'll take your word for it. Yeah, I think Rich was in the only math class I took post high school, which was fucking elementary
Danny.
stat. Yeah.
Danny.
Yes. Yeah. Way back when. That first semester, that glorious, ridiculous, how the fuck did I get through college first semester of college?
That's a good question.
Yeah, something I ask myself, being on, double probation at the time, and
double secret probation.
Oh, it was no secret. Everybody fucking knew. But the
could be worse.
It could be worse.
Could have been your roommate.
Yeah. Oh God. But the I mean, this film, it's just like fun, man. I mean, there are moments where I'm like, but it, like Jake was saying, it's good background. It's certainly not my least. It's not my second least favorite Roger Moore film. It's my third least Roger Moore film.
As much as I love this film, I understand that it's not for everybody. And if you don't like it as a whole, I get that. I can understand why someone looking at this film taken as, a front to back, sitting down and watching it, I can get. I will respect somebody who doesn't want to watch this one front to back. Like Spy Who Loved Me, if you don't want to watch that from front to back, like fuck you. This film,
I completely agree.
This film, I get it. I understand. But there are enough parts in this film. I think there is a scene in this film for everyone. And you don't have to watch the whole thing. You don't have to like the whole thing. But if you sit down and you watch this, there's going to be something in this film that you're going to love. And it may not be the whole thing. You may not like as much of it as I do, and that's fine. You don't have to. But this is kind of a celebration of what could, but not necessarily should be in Bond. And for that, I love it. It is avant-garde in a way that is like almost aggressively so. That I don't know. It's hard for me to talk about this in actual words. With how much I love this film, and if you don't love it, that's great. But like, watch it at least once, and if you find a scene and you like it and you want to send it to all your friends on YouTube or whatever, that's fucking great. Do that. But give it a shot. That's my pitch to those of you who are listening who may not have seen this.
I mean, when I sit down and I talk about how much I really don't enjoy the film, at the end of the day, there's people out there that love it, and maybe they know something that I don't, or see things that I don't, because this was the highest grossing film of the series until GoldenEye.
Yeah, if you don't adjust for inflation, yes. If you do, it's Thunderball. But yeah, it's And
who does that? Nobody does that.
Inflation is a myth.
Inflation
Wouldn't
is like
Rocky IV be like the highest grossing movie of all time?
Well, Rocky IV is the highest. If you don't adjust for inflation, Rocky IV is the highest grossing sports film of all time.
Yeah, that's what it is.
You can change. We all can
That's
change.
a fucking shame.
Okay, here's the thing. You were saying like Quantum of Solace is your Moonraker. If Moonraker is to Rich what Rocky IV is to Garrett.
Wow. Fair.
I fucking hate Rocky IV.
Really?
I will ride that one like I am what's his name? Tex in fucking Doctor Strangelove, riding that fucking bomb to the ground. I hate that film.
So, like, what I would say about Rocky IV is, like, yeah, start to back, it's not the best movie, and I can see why you wouldn't like it. But that's a Rocky movie where there's something in it for everybody.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, you know, if you really hate Apollo Creed, that's the movie for you. Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
He was a philandering son of a bitch, God rest his soul.
God rest his soul.
God rest his soul. That's the important part.
You know what the biggest problem with Rocky IV is? No Bill Conti. You know what the best part about Ferraz Only is? Bill Conti. See you next week. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know why I did Final Countdown as the...
I've seen so many people act like Final Countdown is in the fucking Rocky IV, and it's not.
No. There is similar synth jams that sound very similar.
If there's one thing I know, it's every song that's in Rocky IV, so I can hate on it whenever it comes on.
No easy way out.
Thank you, Sam,
Always
from
down
college,
shit.
watching that film like 50 times in a fucking row.
Rocky, you can't win. There's no easy way out. There's no shortcut home.
Anyone gonna do Burning Heart by Survivor?
In the burning hearts, just about to burst.
Hearts on Fire, of course.
Hearts on. And you go. You don't want to serve no more. You don't want to serve.
Nobody does There's No Easy Way Out. Why is that your go-to from fucking Rocky IV?
No, that song fucking rules. Are you serious?
Everyone
Dude, I
knows
sang
Hearts
that
on
at Manhattan's karaoke in college.
No,
every Monday.
Hearts on Fire is fine, but No Easy Way Out is a song when you're having a life crisis and you're driving in your car. You don't put on Hearts on. You don't go, oh, Hearts on Fire.
The reason is
you put on
because,
No Easy Way
when
Out.
you're thinking Rocky IV, you're thinking utter shit. So you're like, oh yeah, Hearts on Fire. That's great. That's exactly what I wanted right now.
No Easy Way Out is up there with the greatest Rocky songs, next to It's a Fight by the 3-6 Mafia.
Fair enough.
I remember.
I would roll with that. Like that's like the one thing that is acceptable from that film.
Garrett can verify this because I'm a fucking psycho. I have Fight Night Round 3 for the Xbox 360.
Nice.
I would turn off the music and put on the Rocky sound, like the Rocky Story or whatever fucking soundtrack, and just box to that.
Oh yeah.
No. That's not all. You would do that while wearing the Italian stallion silk robe you had.
My man!
Yeah.
I still have that robe, by the way.
There was a solid 8-month period where I'm fairly certain that no sentence left his mouth that did not involve a Rocky reference in some way.
You know the best song in Rocky IV? Living in America. Hand to hand.
Coast to coast.
Across the nation.
I told my mother that that's how Mallory and I were going to walk down the aisle.
Oh, God. I hope so.
Into our wedding.
Oh, that'd be freaking hilarious.
Oh, God.
That'd be the greatest thing of all time.
I'll put that all on Instagram.
With the Brahma bull coming up, spitting out smoke out of its nose.
Is that your tux? Is your tux just the fucking USA shorts and a top hat?
When it's over, Stallion.
Yeah. Oh, man. You can't beat him, Rock.
Adrian's always right.
Yeah, Adrian said I can't win, but I won. Rocky 4. Remember the beginning of Rocky 5 where he's taking a shower
Shaking.
and he's naked in the shower?
Buck ass naked.
Yeah. And
Tony.
Get Tony!
Tony, get
Hold up.
Get him.
We need to take this down for posterity. Sam just admitted that Rocky 5 happened.
I did. We we did commentaries for all the Rocky movies too in preparation for Creed. Rocky 5, not as terrible as I remember.
There is there's a moment in Rocky 5 that's some of the best acting Stallone does in the Rocky series, where he watches Tommy.
Is it when he dies?
Yeah, it's when he watches Tommy Gunn, like I guess win the title, and he's like he's like boxing. He's punching the punching bag while Tommy's doing it with all the moves he taught him because he's brought him up from nothing. Started from the bottom, now we're here. And he's like thanking everybody, and he doesn't thank Rocky. And like there's the moment he's like, no, there's one person I have to thank. He's like the most important person. He thanks the not Don King man.
Yeah.
And the look on Stallone's face of he plays pity, embarrassment, but he also wants no one to know.
He tries to play it off.
He tries to play it off like it's nothing, while Rocky Jr. and Adrian look at him. It's again, I'm not redeeming Rocky 5. I'm not saying it's a great movie, but that scene, if you're looking for a scene to go back,
of a man.
Go back and watch that scene on YouTube or whatever. That scene is like, when you got John G. Avildsen, rest in peace, comes back, who directed
God
the first,
rest his soul.
who directed the first Rocky movie. That's one of the moments they capture the magic of the first Rocky. And I think Stallone slipping back into
I
that.
always felt like Stallone's best acting in that series was in Rocky 2 when he's doing the commercial, and it's just like terrible because I always just felt like the stage direction was just like, yeah, Sly, do your thing.
Yeah, smell manly. You smell like a man. You really want to smell like a man? I mean, really, Adrian? You acting all pushy and yeah. So
do we do a Rocky series after this?
The first Rocky is my favorite movie of all time. I'll always talk about Rocky.
Yeah.
Rocky 1 is great.
Yeah.
The rest of them are kind of, take it or leave it.
What about 3?
Creed was amazing.
What about 3 and Creed?
3's fine, but like I don't know, like I don't think anything touches 1. But
3's the most quotable.
3.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like,
ask his wife. She get more pipe from the plumbing in bed.
Oh man.
Mick.
Yeah, that's right. Bring your pretty little self over my plumbing night. Show you, real man.
I'm just trying to think now, like, what's the most quotable Bond film? Like,
The most quotable Bond film is probably not this.
no, not this at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I do quote.
There is one quote from this one, and it's you missed.
Oh, it's
Did I?
also
And, like, everything else is like, might as well not have a script.
I believe the
But,
first time I watched this movie was with my grandparents. Let me tell you how awkward the end of the movie is. I believe he's attempting re-entry, sir. And I was just like, and the movie's over.
Yeah.
Turn that off.
Just like dive out the window,
Yeah.
tuck and roll.
Yeah.
How many times does Bond's coworkers see him just like randomly have sex? Lots is
Infinite.
the answer.
I mean, technically the most quoted Bond thing is, of course, James Bond, which is from Dr. No. Like, I mean,
Which is from all of them. But
it is all of them, but the one that they always will play and that will be Dr. No. I think the most clever motherfucking shit of all time is in Casino Royale. Like, that's the perfect way
to end it.
to end that movie. Because I remember sitting in the theater, and he goes, "Who are you?" And he's like, "Name's Bond, James Bond." And the movie ended.
Well, yeah, he says, "Who is this?" That gets
that's right, yeah,
kneecapped, and then
kneecapped, yeah, Bond, James. And I remember thinking, like, I forgot he says that. Like, I thought I was blown the fuck away by that. But yeah, that's interesting. I don't know the most quotable. I mean, I think it really comes down to your favorite Bond movie, I guess. Maybe.
I expect you to die, Mr. Bond.
Oh, I mean, yeah,
That's
yeah.
probably
that's up there.
Goldfinger,
Like,
yeah, Goldfinger.
Goldfinger's definitely there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You expect me to talk?
It might be one of the like for us, it's probably one of the Brosnan movies if you really thought about it, because we've seen them, we grew up with them, and that was kind of Brosnan's shtick was the smooth quotes.
He was pretty good with those.
Yeah, but even then, from the Brosnan films, you're not really quoting Bond there. You're quoting like in GoldenEye, the big quotes are
I am
like,
invincible.
The big quote is Boris. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am invincible.
No more foreplay.
No more foreplay. I do like Benicio del Toro in License to Kill. Have a nice honeymoon. And he gets ground down.
Yeah.
Just
like Kingsman.
Yeah. But we were kind of joking, but there's a couple in Moonraker we've talked about. Moore has definitely got his fair share. Yeah. I guess that's something to keep in mind as we go on. That you think about it.
And next time we get to talk about my favorite Roger Moore film, which is coincidentally Garrett's least favorite Roger Moore film. Oh
shit! Well, I mean, if your favorite is Moonraker, it makes sense that For Your Eyes Only would be your least favorite because it's talking about yin and yang.
It's like they took everything that I love and they just like threw it in the gutter and like shat on it, and then lit it on fire.
Can we talk for a minute about just how I mean, I think I may have hinted on it earlier, but the Moore run itself, how inconsistent the films are, film to film.
Yeah.
I think like the first bit of it is like inconsistent, but there's like a certain level of quality for like the first 5. Because like I don't really like For Your Eyes Only, but like it's one of those films where like I can see why you would like it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not my thing, and like I really I don't like it, but like I get it. But like I watch something like Octopussy, and I'm just like, I don't even like this film. I don't even hate this film enough to actually hate it.
I'm honestly, Octopussy is a film, and I'll talk more about it in I guess a couple installments. It's the Roger Moore film I'm the most ambivalent towards.
I would agree with that.
Like, you don't hate it enough to hate it. It's like,
and I don't like it enough to like it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of, it's a film and it's there, and like if it were never made, you'd be like, that's great, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah. The one thing, I guess, it's just to set up as a final tease for Your Eyes Only. I think, and it might not be the case, but just off the bat, it might be the one time in the Bond franchise where they drastically changed the characterization and overall kind of attitude of a Bond that, in my opinion, worked. Like any other time they've tried that, Diamonds Are Forever, Spectre, Die Another Day, like it doesn't work.
There's
but
Whiplash. Yeah.
The fact that and again, maybe it doesn't work for some people, but like it's one of the few times where one of the biggest no-nos is you don't fuck with the formula when you have that Bond. Like if that Bond, like Roger Moore is kind of the more slapstick, fun kind of Bond, you don't fuck with it. Well, they fucked with it with Your Eyes Only, and it worked really, really well, in my opinion. But the other times they've tried it with Connery, obviously Lazenby and Dalton were around long enough, and they've tried it with a little bit with Brosnan, and then they definitely tried it with Craig. It didn't really work. So it's interesting that that's maybe the only time it ever worked in the Bond franchise.
That's a good point.
To that drastic measure.
I think, and obviously we'll get more to this when we get to the film, but I think that there's a lot more. There's a lot. They change the film formula, but I don't think they change the formula of Bond.
Well, yeah, maybe not the formula.
It's kind of a fine line to split there, but like I think Roger Moore is still playing a very similar character. He's just in very different circumstances, which when you look at like Diamonds Are Forever, that's, there's a good argument to be made there that's Sean Connery coming back to a character that is nearly unrecognizable.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's if we're going back to the novels, I mean, in terms of like, it's the coldest we see Roger Moore. And
to the point where he unsuccessfully protested some of the stuff his character does.
Yeah.
Get it cold because he's the ice rink and the snow. And...
Oh, shit. But I mean, I think again, that deep into his run to go, and again, it's not. Is it as cold as Dalton or Craig's or Connery's? Hell no. But for him, it is. And I thought that was it's a pretty ballsy move for them to do that. Now maybe Moonraker again makes a lot of money, but maybe Moonraker was like, we literally went to fucking space. How much farther can we go? Let's rein it back. And this is a much more, reality based in the Moore era is kind of hard to explain, but like much more down to earth, literally than Moonraker.
Yeah. Well, we have that to look forward to. Any parting thoughts on Moonraker as we put this one to bed?
No, I think we pretty well dissected this movie, good and bad.
Watch it, give it a chance. Like, maybe you like it, maybe you don't, but like, there's going to be something that you're going to see, and you're going to come back and be like, all right, either you're going to like the movie, or there's going to be something in it that you like. But give it a shot.
It's okay.
Give this a chance.
I'm glad we've gotten Rich up from utter shit to okay. I feel like that's a victory won.
I will say, if this podcast ever became like a famous podcast, the intro to this episode with Garrett's like almost borderline on cocaine reminiscence of the beginning of his time with Bond will be possibly, when it's all said and done, the great fan favorite moment of this entire podcast.
Those, like, top tens.
Oh yeah, it would be like number one. It'd be close to number one because that was
joy.
That was great.
Unbridled joy.
Yeah, that was great.
It's so crazy. I broke my own fucking microphone.
Yeah, you disappeared for a moment.
Yeah, we're keeping that in.
Oh yeah, you were like, I went so hard, my microphone died. And then the great thing is, it went and you went right back in like you didn't miss it. It's like your microphone died and you were still going. It was like you were like, and then my microphone died, and that's why I thought Moonraker was the greatest movie of all time. Like you just kept going, and like you're doing a freaking Ultimate Warrior piece. I tear down the cockpit door, and Jaws flew out with no
hooks into his organ.
And then there was no fucking backpack or parachute, but it didn't matter because I jumped out the plane anyway, brother.
There's a deleted scene where he walks from the wreckage of the circus, but they're like, but it goes into the theme song. Just end it with him. They'll know he survives. He's Jaws.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a deleted scene. I don't know if you can see it on the Blu-ray where he walks out of the circus, dusts himself off, and keeps walking.
Also, the ski lift scene or whatever.
Oh, the cable cars.
Cable cars. Two quick things. One, there's that scene where the stuntman was actually clinging on for life.
Yeah. Which they leave in the final.
They leave in the final film, where like all he has to stop from falling to his death is him holding on. There's no harness or anything like holding him, and that's in the movie. And two, that the scene in Kingsman 2, like that kind of setup. I mean, it's not as iconic, whatever, but that definitely reminded me a little bit. I was like, I bet that's them doing a little nod to old Moonraker.
Yeah, I can see Matthew Vaughn. I feel like Matthew Vaughn fucking loves Moonraker.
Oh, and I think and The Spy Who Loved Me is one of Mark Miller's favorite movies of all time. So
yeah,
so he loves the more Bond.
Yeah, man. There's some big Mark Miller news coming down the pike that all,
Yeah.
Anyway, well, this has been another installment of From Geek Out with Love. I'm Sam.
I'm Jake.
I'm Rich.
I'm Garrett.
Goodbye, James Bond.
We suck at that so much.
Yeah.
I love it. We're keeping it. I see your smile 1,000 times without your touch.
I'm gonna be real. Y'all know the song better than I do, and I'm kind of ashamed of that.
And then it goes, it doesn't, like, she never.
This has been another Geek Out production. If you enjoyed what you heard, hey, we've got a special episode every Friday. Of course, there's the usual catching up show every Wednesday. And you get book club episodes just about every Tuesday these days. Thanks for listening.